Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today we are going to be focusing on this back corner right here. So as you can see, we have the train station here and the main line of track going right here. And then just to the right of that here is this siding over here, which is not connected to this main line yet. However, it will be soon once I finally get that order from Trix Bricks. So don't worry about that. But the point of the video is this section right here, in specific from the back corner right about there. So what I want to do today is I want to finish the ballast underneath the curve here because it really needs it. And I also want to add in the curved train crossing over here. And another thing that I want to do is I want to take the engine shed and move it 2 studs that way. So that's going to be a pretty big pain in the butt. However, by moving it the 2 studs over, this train track here will be 2 studs to the left, and then it will pretty much just come right down this way, leaving a 4 stud gap between the main line and the siding here. And then I can get that Trix Bricks 4 stud wide switch, and then that will be good to go. So that is what we are going to do today. So let's just jump right in. All right, so I figured I would go ahead and start with the ballast underneath here. I figured that was probably the easiest thing to start with, so we're starting with that, and that is pretty much it here. So I just need to go in and I need to fill in a lot of the gaps in here. As you can kind of see, I didn't really do that in the middle yet. Let me see if I can take this off here. It doesn't really want to cooperate, but there we go. As you can see, I still need to fill in all of the middle right here. So I need to go in and I need to add the underlying tile so that the actual pieces of ballast here are supported and then they don't fall apart. Because the last thing I want to do is build all this up and then accidentally press on it and then the thing breaks and I have to rip the whole thing up and then fix the ballast. So I'm going to do it right the first time, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to take a bunch of random colored tiles and just put them under here, and then we can ballast this section right here. But before I do this, I'm actually going to be, like I said, taking this and moving it the 2 studs over. So that's going to be quite the project. However, I think it is definitely going to be worth it. So then I can have everything be a little bit more seamless down this way here. And that also gives me the opportunity to figure out how to integrate this track into here as well. Because I was thinking about it, and instead of having an adapter between this track and that track, what I could do is just remove that first segment of track because it starts here and ends right about there. Sorry, the lighting is bad, but I could take that out and replace it with one of these standard tracks here. And then I believe it was Henry's Bricks on YouTube. I saw his video when he incorporated the train engine shed. And so I'll put his video in the top right, and I'll also include a screenshot of what exactly he did, because I had seen it when he dropped the video and I completely forgot about it. And I was looking online for some inspiration on how other people incorporated this into their layouts, and I came across his video again and I watched it, and it was very insightful. It was really cool. He also has a really, really cool layout, so I recommend his channel regardless. But with that being said, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do what he did, essentially. I'm going to take his idea and replace these rails here with a standard one, so then I can just have this connect straight through, and then I don't need an adapter, and that's one less third-party piece that I need to buy. So that's good, and then this line can just come straight through, and then I can have the 2 switches, one this way, and then I'll have another one coming this way here. So I think that'll be a good idea. I think that is probably my best play, and also that moves this telephone pole in 2 studs as well, because I keep knocking into this occasionally, and since it's on Technic pins instead of axles, it loves to rotate. So that's just a nitpick though, but overall I'm really, really excited about this, because once this is fully integrated in here, then it's going to look even better than it already does. So with that being said, I'm going to finish up the ballast here, and then I don't know what to do about this area here. I'm probably going to leave that just for the time being, and then I'm going to focus on this area here. Probably going to stop about here-ish, and then the curved track here is going to become a train crossing. So need to get that going as well. And then this needs to have ballast under it. So I got quite a bit of work to do. So with that being said, let me finish that up and then we can get started on moving the shed over. All right, so I'm pretty much done with this side of it here. And I also went ahead and I did this side as well as this side of the siding that's going in here. Again, I'm not doing this quite yet. We'll do that in just a couple minutes. Well, for you guys, it'll be a couple minutes. For me, it's going to be quite a while because I have to take this entire thing off the base plate, like I said, and move it 2 studs this way. But again, it's all going to be worth it in the end, and hopefully everything is going to look good as well. And I'm actually going to leave this 4 stud gap open here because I'm already going to have to buy a 4 stud track segment, so I might as well just buy a second one and extend this out just a little bit more, just so then the 2 things that came with the shed here actually have a little bit more space than they did. But the main thing that I want to talk about in this clip is actually I was scrolling through YouTube and fate would have it that I was recommended a video about train crossings in Lego. And I had done a video about a curved train crossing before, and I had shown you guys my thought process on it and what I ended up with. But this completely blows my design out of the water. I think I actually need to retire, but this is what it came out. I'm not showing you yet just for like the dramatic effect here, but this is what it looks like. And oh my gosh, that is perfect. That is, I'll put the video in the top right so you guys can check it out. And this video came out, like, it was not a recent video either. It was a couple years old and it was just randomly recommended to me. And I watched through it and I was like, oh wow, this is actually an insane technique. It's so simple, but it's so effective. And you can kind of see the green and the medium nougat poking through. So I will be swapping that out for light gray, but this is way better than anything that I came up with for the curved train crossing. So I'm going to be going with this design. Huge thank you to this guy for just having that video out there. And I guess shout out to the YouTube algorithm as well for recommending it to me at the right time. But with that being said, I'm actually going to have to extend it ever so slightly more because as you can see here, the crossing ends a little bit before the road plate here. So I need to the right of my pinky there, you can just see that little extra thing. So I'm going to have to add in a little bit extra in here, but I can do that. That's not a problem. And then I also have to find a way to blend it with the other sides here. And I think I'm actually going to end up going with the design that I had created because I didn't think it ended up looking too bad. So we're going to do that, and then we'll do the same on the other side, and then that is going to be that. But I'm going to do this next, and then I'll come back and do this. But I had to show you guys this because it was really cool to see, and I think it turned out awesome. This is actually one of the best designs that I've seen out there in some time. So huge shout out to this guy once again. Again, I'll leave the video in the top right and also in the description if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, this is really cool. I can't stop looking at this. It's a bunch of 2x2 tiles on different angles here and then a 2x3 in the middle to compensate because it's less distance on the inside of the curve. So this is really cool. I'm so happy with this. And so that's enough about this. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go through the tedious task of taking this off of the base plate and then moving it over. And hopefully I don't have any trouble with that. It's just going to be a tedious process, but hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, so actually this process ended up being a little bit simpler than I was expecting. And so pretty much what I did was I just basically went like this around the entire edge and I kind of just peeled it off. And then what I did was I went ahead and I just placed it on the 2 studs over, and then I also moved all of the small details as well. And what I did inside was I took the 1x16 rails that you can see here, and I moved them 1 stud that way. And so I had to get rid of the 1x6 tile that was behind the 2x4. And so now you can see there's a gap there, which can fill in with this here. And then that is pretty much good to go. So that's good. And then up at the front here, it's probably easier to just look through the doorway here. But what you can see is that there's a 2x3, or I guess a 4x3 gap here, 2 2x3s. And so what I need to do is I need to get some tile and fill that in because I had to shorten the maintenance section underneath the rails here. So that's that. And then I put this standard piece of track in, and so now it's able to be connected, which is good. And then these 1x3 bricks no longer fit in here. So I need to put 1x2s in there and then put the 1x2 tiles on top of those. And then that is pretty much it. And then I'm just going to take this 2x4 tile and place it there to kind of help transition between this area and the area down below. And that is pretty much it. I think this looks pretty good, all things considered. And so once again, thank you to Henry's Bricks for doing this already. And he didn't give a specific tutorial, but I kind of just watched his video a couple times. He did gloss over this mostly, but I was able to kind of work backwards and figure out how he added this track in. And so I saw that there was a tile missing back there, and he moved the rails back, and then that was pretty much that. And so that is pretty much it. These 2x6 bricks and these 2x4 bricks and then these tiles are all extras from here. And then this obviously was also here as well. And so with that being said, all I need to do is just get those couple tiles and then fill the gaps in up at the front. And this train engine shed is going to be ready to be properly integrated into the city. And then we can add in the other details around, and this will be ready to go. All right, so I fixed everything up and I placed it back in the city here. And I think this looks really good. As you can see when you open the doors here, I did go ahead and finish adding all of the tiles in there. It's kind of hard to see because there's no light getting in there. I guess that's a little bit better. And so you can see everything is tiled off now. Everything is back to normal, or I guess as close to it, considering I made changes. And so now, as you can see, there's two studs open on the side there. And I also took the crate that was over here, or the pallet that was over here, and I moved it over to there. I think that's a little bit better of a spot for it because this was just a little bit too cramped for my liking. And so with that being said, this is now ready to be ballasted in here, as well as this whole area here. I might buy one of those third-party ballast plates for this switch because I've ballasted switch tracks on angles before, and it's really not fun. It's really just a big pain, and so that might be a little bit easier. I might try one out because they're not terribly expensive, and so once I get the order finalized for the other pieces of track and stuff like that, then I'll probably just add one into the cart and hopefully get free shipping on it, and then just call it a day with that. But now that this is all good to go, what I want to do next is I want to start connecting these train tracks down here. I know that this is going to have to get ripped up eventually to put that other switch in, but I do want to have at least some of the track in here so that I can kind of get a visual for what this is actually going to end up looking like. And so that's what we're going to do right now. Okay, so I went ahead and I created this segment of track here, which is just a normal ballast from this side. That's what it looks like. And then on the other side, I had to place 1x plate underneath the switch, or not under the switch, under the tracks itself. And then, so then that way the 1x2 plates that are holding the black 1x1 tiles can be held properly. And then I just connected all of that with 1x1 studs underneath just to give it some support. And then that just gets clipped in like so. And so that is pretty much that. And then you're probably wondering, well, where's the other half of the ballast? Well, it is right here. It is just this 48 stud long segment with 2x plate and then 1x plate on the top. And then this is just going to sit on the other base plate. And then, so hopefully this is going to look pretty good. I don't have a lot of dark gray 1x plate, so hopefully the black doesn't show through, and it looks like it doesn't. So for the most part, I think that's fine. I'm happy with that. And so now what I need to do is just do that for the rest of this section of track here. And so that's what I'm going to do next. I'm hopefully going to do all of it. I don't know if I have enough pieces to do all of it, but I guess we will see where that goes. And then what I can do after that is place green plate on this side here just to make it look a little bit more clean and a little bit better. And then what I might do is actually add like a plate or something to overlap these two base plates here because this likes to come up slightly. So that is something to note as well. So that's probably what I'm going to do next. So hopefully I have enough pieces, but if not, then I guess we will have to figure something else out. All right, so I went ahead and I took care of the next couple of plates here. And so as I back up, you can also see that I added the green plate on the side as well. I didn't add a lot of detail, or actually any detail to it yet, but I do plan on doing that in the near future here. So with that being said, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to show you just how much progress I made because it's actually quite a lot here. And so as you can see, I did almost the entire strip of train track there, and I think that looks fantastic. That looks really, really good. And then at this final base plate here, what I plan on doing is having 2 sections of track and then a buffer at the end here. And then this is probably going to have to get remodeled, but 2 sections of track and then a buffer, and then I'll just have the grass kind of come around like that. And then that's pretty much it. And then there will be a switch coming here so that trains that are stopped at the station can be bypassed and then come this way. And then if you come this way, there would also be a switch right about here. So then that way, train stopped at the station, a different train can kind of come around like this, go on the outside, or if there's nothing here, then the train could just follow the main line through, and then that would be that. And so I'm really happy with this. I think this is looking really, really good. Obviously, just ignore all of that for the time being. I need to probably just stow these away because I'm going to end up reusing them, I think, in the future. I would love to have a second train station, and then so maybe I could reuse these elements here. I think that would be pretty cool. But until then, I'm not going to be able to use those in this layout because the platform is pretty much as long as it's gonna get. And so if I take one of the Orient Express coaches here, you can see that the coach here, it comes around, and I could maybe extend the platform out like 2 more studs, but like that is pretty much it. And then coming down to the other end here, it's also very, very close to that end right there. And so it doesn't hit. It's very close, as I just knocked over something. But yeah, so that is pretty much that there. And so with that, the platform is pretty much as long as it can be. So that is pretty much that. It is significantly longer, I think by like a track segment, than the previous one. So that is good to see. It's a full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and like a half. So that's good. The entirety of the Orient Express can actually fit in the platform now. So that's good. But now that this is all pretty much done here, I'm actually not going to wrap up the video quite yet because we do still have one more thing that I want to tackle today, and that is the train crossing. I haven't done that yet. I've been putting that off because I feel like it's going to be a lot of work. And so now that all of this is done and the ballasting under this is done, I didn't do the inside yet, but I will do that hopefully in the next, before the next clip. And so with that being said, I'm going to tackle that. I'm going to do this as well. And then hopefully this area is going to look a lot better. And then we can come back another day and add a bunch of different details around here as well. All right, so some time has passed since that last clip. It's actually been a number of days since then, and I've just been busy with life and things like that. But as you can see here, the train crossing, I have the left side done. This is a pretty faithful rendition to what I had made in that video where I had attempted a curved train crossing, and I did modify it slightly, so I think the gaps just fill in a little bit nicer throughout here. So it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, and that is pretty much that. The normal crossings have the ramps right up against the track, whereas this one has them out a little bit, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter. Cars can still drive over this and then go over the track as well. So that's pretty much that. The trains do run over this, but it is a little tight, so I did go in and change out some of the 2x2s for these angled tiles here, just so the wheels on them roll a little bit nicer. So you can see this kind of coming through, and it does make a little bit of noise, and it does have quite a bit of friction on it, but It's not the end of the world. I think it's fine. And then once you have a train with an actual motor on it, it shouldn't be the end of the world. So with that being said, that is pretty much that. I didn't do the other side just because I could not find any useful pieces for it, like wedge plates or things like that. So I'm going to save that for another day. I have spent quite a lot of time on this section of the city here, and I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. So with that being said, that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like it and subscribe, as well as click the bell notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. If you guys have any feedback for me on this section of the city, make sure to drop a comment down below to let me know what you think. But once again, seriously, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.